Well, he was stationed in Honolulu, and over there she fell in love with a girl, and this girl had a little girl, and my sister was very, very happy. Oh, I think she lived to be 3 years, that little girl. And he was stationed for a long time there, and you know, the little girl died in an auto accident, and they never told my sister because they didn't want her to feel bad, you know. So when it was her birthday or her Christmas, she would buy presents and send them to the little girl. We used to have a lot of pictures of her. So when she died, they didn't want to tell her, so they didn't tell her for long. They didn't tell her, and she would buy presents and say, "Well, take them to either to her husband or her other son. Take them to the post office, you know, and send them." You know what my brother-in-law used to do? He pretended that he was going to take them to the post office, and he would give them to the guys that had babies, that had little girls or boys or whatever. He gave them to them at work, and she would buy things. Because they couldn't afford it, they couldn't stand that. They didn't want to make her feel so bad, you know. Because she was real happy. She was happy because she had a granddaughter, and I think that went on for about 2 years until they let her know that little girl. But she was always sending presents, but nobody had the heart to tell her that little girl was. So my sister went through. It was kind of hard for her, you know. She was like my father. She had the same ways my father had. Very, very lovable, very understanding. Just exactly like my father.
Nice.
He cared about people, you know. He loved people. Father, when we used to live in D'Hanis, because my father. He knew English and Spanish very well because he was well educated. They taught him English. They had these people that used to work in making bricks or something. Well, anyway, they didn't know how to read or write. So my father we had a big yard in the back of the house, and he formed a group of people that wanted to study, you know, a little bit about speaking Spanish and English and knew how to read and write. So he taught them.
How to read and write?
Yeah. I think twice a week during the summer. It was, I remember they used to have lamps. Everybody brought their own lamp. And they used to sit on the floor, you know, or on benches or something. And my father used to teach them, because not even Spanish, they didn't know how to read and write Spanish, and my father would teach them.
Spanish and English?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's all the time we lived over there because he did that. Wow. I remember one time this man came and brought this boy. He wanted him to meet my father because he was the man that taught him how to read and write. That was many years later, you know, that my daddy took interest in people because he used to teach them. And he did even in the cold weather, you know. The house wasn't very big, but people came in just to learn how to read and write. That's when I was little, remember that. When my sister was, she married this man that was 30 years older than she was, and she was 15. And they had 3 girls, and he was a rancher, had a ranch, and had all kind of animals, and cotton fields and all of that. Well, anyway, They were married 7 years, and my sister became sick. And he never called the doctor on my sister. He would call the doctor for the animals, you know, when they were sick, but anyway. So he wrote my mother, my daddy, that come and take my sister because he was busy, you know. It was really a lot of work for him and the 3 children. So just before we brought, because I went with my mother and my daddy to get her, you know. And I remember this colored man took us in his car way out there, and coming back, my daddy carried her with her like a little girl, like a baby, because she couldn't walk, she was too weak. And the doctor told my daddy just before we left, because she's not going to make it to San Antonio. I want you to know. Because so you just carry her all the time with you and pretend that she, because they're not going to allow you to. You know. And my daddy said, well, I'll take my chance. She couldn't find nobody to bring us by car, you know. So I don't know if it took us 2 days or something, I don't remember. Well, anyway, she was real shit. My father used to take her to the bathroom. They allowed him to go because my mother couldn't do it. Remember, they brought her home, and there was a church. It wasn't a Catholic church. They had a service every week. And I remember this man that was a friend of my father. He would come and get my sister and my father to this church. They had a service, and my father used to tell her, we're going to go and pray, and you're going to get well. You're going to get well. And he always kept that, you know. She was sick for a long time, and they would bring her. She could hardly, I guess she didn't know what it was, you know, what was going on in the church, but my daddy insisted that he took her. And for a long time, and then he used to take her to, there was a clinic there close to the house, and my daddy used to take her there. And my daddy said, you're going to get well, but she thought that she would. Well, anyway, you know, when she got well, she still used to go to because the people there loved her a lot because she was so sick, you know. They loved my daddy too. My daddy was a Catholic, but he went there. He didn't believe that. I don't know. It's just he believed in God. And he believed in prayers and all of that. You know, that God. And my sister got well, and then she went to work, helped my daddy support her children. You know. But that's what the doctor said. Oh, my sister made it. I guess with my daddy's prayers. My daddy always said that he was grateful. He wasn't rich, but he felt thankful that God had answered most of his prayers.